Right, welcome back. Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties. Yeah, but we're glad to be back. So, we were discussing the issue of love and we were explaining how even when Jesus was on the cross, he had all the reason to say, that he was not loved. And I bet that he was feeling unloved, at that time because everyone was against him and everyone had asked for him to be killed, almost everyone. And um, in that moment, I believe that the thing that really kept him going was the love of his father in heaven, and for us Christians, it's the same thing. And I believe we can tackle two questions at this point. There's someone else who responded and said that they feel like the world is against them. Yeah, and I think that also associates with this issue of love, where you feel like, you know, you expect people to support you, but they don't. You expect things to work for you, but they don't. And yeah, part of that is love. That, sometimes you go to places and you feel like the people you expect to love you are not showing it the right way or are not showing it enough. Another thing we need to understand is people's love languages are different. And so, what will happen with love languages is that maybe the thing that makes you feel loved is if someone gives you gifts or gives you quality time. And maybe for them, the thing that makes them feel loved is when someone does things for them, acts of service or touch, when you give them a hug and stuff like that. So maybe people just don't know how to relate with you in terms of your love language. And that might be part of the reason why you tend to feel unloved. Or maybe you've gone through something traumatic in relation to your love language, and for that you'd need to go through some deliverance, which we'll actually be having soon. Just you can reach out to us and ask about it. We'll give you feedback on it. Yeah, but on the issue of feeling loved, the greatest love is the love of God. And on our part, what's important, though it might be hard, is to love God with everything we have and to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Yeah, because looking at it this way, that if I feel unloved, I don't want to make anyone else feel like that. Yeah, and maybe when as you show these people love, maybe in your home and your family or friendships or anything, then maybe these people will now start responding. You know, you never know, but do your best to show love and to give love, and in return, you will get love. I believe that that is how that is the best way to handle that issue. Yeah. And so we can talk about on the issue of feeling like the world is against you.
I think it's also the same issue on love. And like for me, I can explain like how I've grown up, and for me, my personal experience with love is that I haven't grown up with love or been loved as much as I would have wanted to. But I came to learn that there's only one person, as Pastor Jonah said, there's only one person who can love you, and that's God. And I don't know whether this is the right thing, but I kind of don't expect a lot from people. Like I don't put my expectations up there and I say, since I did this for you, I expect you to do the same for me. Like if I'm doing something for you, I'm doing something for you for free. If I'm loving you, then I'm loving you for free. And you come to learn that there are people who don't know how to show love. There are people who haven't been loved, so they don't know how to love back. They don't know whether if you give them a gift, they're supposed to give you a gift back, or there's someone who knows like if you give me something, I'm supposed to give you something back, so that we can be equal. Yeah, and even as Pastor John was explaining on the different types of love languages that other people have, like mine is touch. Growing up, there's no touch, you know, and it's different because now that's why you lose your identity, because now you don't know what to do, you know. you don't know like how to even express love, because it's not something that you have in you okay, you have it in you as a love language, as your love language, but you don't know how to express it. It also comes with identity and deliverance, going over such experiences. Yeah, but when you feel as if the whole world is against you, something that I came to realize that not everyone is going to love you. It doesn't matter what you do. You may do the right thing, but people are not going to love you. You may do the wrong thing, maybe people love you, or people are not going to love you still. And that's a society that you are living in. We are living, and then you have to fix your mind to know that we are living in a broken world, and we are living in a world that is so empty. You know, that's why you find that people who don't believe in God, and maybe they are bosses in the corporate world, like they want to employ people that they know that they are trustworthy. They want to employ people that they know that they are going to control themselves even in their workplaces. They want to employ honest people. But what they don't know is that this is the fruit of the Holy Spirit. Yeah? And for them, since they don't know about that, then if someone does a mistake, then they lash out, you know. And if they knew that that comes from the fruit of the Holy Spirit, then they'll be able to encourage the other person and even tell the other person on what to do. So I believe that the world that we are living in right now, it's a broken world, and we cannot go like, you cannot be a people pleaser, you know. People are going to hate you. It doesn't matter what you do, whether you are a pastor or not. People are going to hate you. There are people who are going to love you some, but we cannot like, you need to like fix your mind and know that not everyone is going to love you at the end of the day. Yeah, so just do what you feel is right to do. Just do what is pleasing in God's sight, and let your name be written in heaven instead of being written in the adverts of the world. Yeah.
I think on the topic of the world, you feel like the world is against you. Sometimes it feels like that, like stuff isn't going your way and everything can seem horrible. But I think a good thing to think about in that moment is all the things that are actually going well for you. Because there's always something. It might be the smallest thing, and if seems like there's nothing, you just dig deep and find something to be grateful for in all those moments. But the issue of feeling like the world is against you, it can be tricky, because a good question to ask yourself is, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are the people that um you are interacting with? Who are your friends is a very good example, because if you feel like the world is always against you, your friends included, your family included, which, yeah, you can't change your family, that's it's toxic. So I think that sometimes when you feel like everybody's against you, you feel like everybody hates you, you feel like things just aren't going for you. um I think a good thing to remember is that God is for you, because even in the Bible we're told, if God is for me, who can be against me? And if for real you're walking with God and you've cultivated your relationship with God, when you feel like the world is against you or everybody hates you or such feelings, when you feel alone, because ultimately that's what it's going to lead to, you're going to feel alone, you always remember that I still have Jesus, you know? And honestly, sometimes it can be paranoia, which you need to deal with, where you've had a bad experience in your life, like people turned against you, and from then on, you've had this mentality that the world is against you or that people are out to get you. And if it's paranoia, it's something you have to deal with, because ultimately, not everyone is going to love you, yes, but not everyone is going to hate you. And um, I think it's something you have to deal with, because at the end of the day, it's really hard for everybody to be against you. But what you need to remember is that at the end of the day, you still have God, you know, and you need to work towards reaching a point where when you think about the fact that you still have God, that's enough for you. And as you go on, God is going to bring the right people into your life. He is going to give you so much joy, so much peace. Because in His presence, there is joy. In His presence, there is peace. And He's going to grow you out of feeling that way. Because once you accept that He is enough for you and you cultivate that relationship with Him, then you surrender yourself to Him, like we've talked about it today. Once you surrender yourself to God, He can start to deal with the issues you have. Because I feel like sometimes we hold on to our issues. You know, you're like, I feel like this and this is how I am. But once you surrender yourself to God, who is the maker, then any problems we're having, He can deal with. You know, like you have to come to the realization that you're broken and that you need Him, and to become sick and tired of living your life in such a way, because feeling like the whole world is against you can't be an easy way to live. You know, you have to get tired and be like, okay, I'm done feeling like this, I'm done beating myself down, I'm done feeling terrible, I'm done feeling like everybody hates me. And God, I surrender myself to you, I accept that you're enough, and just start the walk with God so that He can deal with whatever the root of this feeling is, and to just honestly hold on to Him, to hold on to Him until you're better. You know, that's what I think.
The same that you've said, um, like when you want to hold on, I know there are with in regards to different personalities, there are people who are feelers, and there are people who want. If you're not feeling, then you feel as if you've lost a bit of touch with yourself. So what they do, like you tend to go back to the things that hurt you so that you can feel and cry about it, and you find that now you're still holding on. Yeah, but you want to feel, you want to feel so that you can regain back yourself. But I feel if you can just switch that up and feel what God wants you to feel, then it becomes easy instead of feeling what the enemy wants you to feel, because that's how you hold offense. That's how you hold offense. That's how you start to have that's how you get discouraged also. Yeah, and that's how the bitterness grows, because now if you remember something that someone did to you like 10 years so that you can just cry about it, then you're holding on so much.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think sometimes we use past hurt and past interactions um, as a crutch, you know, in different ways for different people. Sometimes somebody hurt you 10 years ago. You haven't seen this person in 10 years. You know, you've severed all ties with them, but for some reason, different to different people, you're still holding on to this interaction and using it as a crutch. Because honestly, sometimes letting go of pain and moving on to the next thing can actually be scary. You know, sometimes letting go of the past can be scary. And I've never understood why it can be scary, but sometimes you're just not ready to let go of your pain. Not necessarily because you're bitter or anything. You might even be on good terms with this person now, but for some reason you just can't let go of what happened. And I think in such a situation, it's really important to take it to God and deal with why you can't let go of this thing that happened to you.
Yeah, I think those are very good opinions and answers, and I think it will help someone. Yeah. Someone else shared that they struggle with procrastination, and it makes them feel like they're not doing good enough, and so at the end of the day, that's what leaves them feeling empty. So, what would you guys advise someone on procrastination?
Can I go first this way? With the issue of procrastination, I think a lot of people struggle with it. You know, sometimes you need to do something and you just don't do it. And for me, with when it comes to things like something like procrastination, what I'm about to say is easier said than done. But when you say you're going to do something, set a time to do it and just do it. And if you know that procrastinating makes you feel empty, I think the best thing to do in that situation is to remind yourself Just sit down and tell yourself, okay, um, let me use my name, like Melissa, we need to do this. So sit down and do it, because you know that later you're going to be mad at yourself for not doing it. You're going to feel terrible for not doing it. And although you don't want to do this thing, and it's really something you don't want to do, I don't want to feel bad later that I didn't do it. So I think with procrastination, honestly, you just have to build a discipline and ask God for discipline and set a time to do something. And when that time comes, honestly, just do it. Push through, force yourself. Um, the flesh will fight, but force yourself and tell yourself, I need to do this now, so I'm going to do it. Because at the end of the day, you know how you're going to feel, and it's something you have to work on. Because honestly, some stuff like procrastination, sometimes you feel like you don't have any choice but to not do it at that moment. But I think you just have to discipline yourself and do what you need to do when you need to do it.
Yeah, but I agree with you. So it's more of discipline, and also we also need to calculate the cost and see how much is this going to cost you if you don't do it. Most probably, if you're procrastinating on something like your assignments, I'm pretty sure you don't want to do the assignment, but now you have to do it because this assignment also plays a role in your life. Yeah, and also you have to do, like, mostly, like, when it comes to the important things about your career, about your life, about your family and everything. You also need a drive. You also need something to drive you and know that you need it bad enough to not procrastinate. Yeah, you also need something bad enough to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do. And yeah, I think it's more of discipline. You calculate the cost and also have a drive to get you to do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. For me, how I've handled procrastination in the past, though, yeah, it tends to still be an issue. Um, I organize my day. I organize my day in a specific way. So I'll know that at this time I'm supposed to be awake. Once I wake up, this is what I do first. This is what I do next. At this time, I'll do this. At this time, I'll do this. And so, what usually happens for me is when I stick to my schedule from the moment I wake up, it's easier to go through the day and follow through on what I'm supposed to do. Um, so maybe something I can give an example of what I've procrastinated on this holiday. My exercise. Uh, my day wasn't very organized. So yes, I'd exercise at around the same time every day, but because of the disorganization of my day, some days I'd just say I don't need to, and eventually I stopped. But this past week, because of my day becoming routine, that I have to wake up at this time, I have to do this at this time, what happened is that exercise became easy to put into my day because I know that at this time every day I'll be doing this. And even in school, um, I'd know that at this time every day I'll be going to studio to do my work from this time to about this time. And it would be easy for me to even push myself past the time I'm supposed to do and do extra because I had already planned in advance that this is how my day is supposed to go. And I have this tendency to want my day to, when I've planned my day, I want my day to go the way I've planned it to. And if it doesn't, I will keep trying and trying again until it does. Yeah. So procrastination is something that I think it can only be handled by a certain discipline, as has been said, and focus. Something that you need to find a rhythm. Procrastination, I think, it fights rhythm. So you need to find a rhythm. You need to find something that works for you in terms of it has a flow. Once you find your flow, then it's easier to handle it in terms of you're less likely to procrastinate and say you'll do this later because you feel like if you don't, then the flow of your day or just your general flow has been put off. Yeah. So with whatever it is, whether it's schoolwork, talking to myself as well, schoolwork, whether it's a chore, whether it's something you're supposed to do, anything, find a way to create a flow. And if you're maybe there's a commitment you have that throws off the flow, find a way to try and put it back into your day. Because what tends to happen is if you find your flow, if you stop because maybe something happened, then it's harder to get back. You'll stop today, then tomorrow you'll say, okay, maybe since I didn't do it yesterday, it wasn't that bad. Maybe today, and then you know. So find your flow. That's what I'd say. Yeah. Someone else also shared that they tend to find themselves comparing. They compare themselves a lot to other people, especially to their friends, and when they don't meet the standards that their friends are at or have set for various things, it tends to leave them feeling less and empty. So, what do you guys think about that?
Um, what would I say? I think that for a lot of us, when you have like a friend, a really close friend, or like a friend group, it's easy for your identity to get tied to theirs. So part of your identity, like I'm this person, this is my name, I go to this school, and part of your identity becomes, and they are my best friend, or these are my friends. And it's easy to start comparing yourself to your friends or to other people. I think especially in this day and age when there are so many standards of like, this is good, this is how you're expected to be, this is how you're expected to look. I think how to defeat that would be again an issue of identity. You have to find your own identity and become satisfied with it. Because I think in some situations, a good in this situation that, but you think they're better than you, and so you're trying to meet, like to bring yourself up to their level in your opinion. But I think this is also a thing of individuality, as in you just have to know that everybody is different. That's the thing. Sometimes it can seem like there's this whole pool of people that are one way and you're excluded from it. And I think you have to realize that everyone is different and that's okay. You know, it's hard. It's honestly hard when you find yourself comparing yourself to other people. And I think honestly, I don't know exactly how I can tell you to stop, but you have to work towards stopping. To realize that comparing yourself to somebody else is not okay. You know, you're not in competition with other people. Nobody's there judging, saying, so this one is like this and this one is like that. And yeah, I think that's important to just realize that it's not a competition. And if you keep comparing yourself to your friends and acting like you're in a competition with your friends, you're going to lose your friendship. I think that's another thing. There's no way you guys will be staying friends if you're in a competition with each other over things that you can't really change. And it will lead to you becoming bitter because it's easy for that to happen, to be angry at another person because you feel like they're better than you. So I think that's what I'd say. Work towards stopping comparing yourself to other people when you've made it a habit is hard, but it's just something you have to work towards.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Melissa. And also, I think this story of being told, be yourself, it's become like a song, you know. And funny enough, we don't take it seriously because I find like maybe let's say like when we are singing, okay, and then you hear maybe Melissa is singing in a different in a different tone. Maybe she can go higher. Okay, so maybe for me, since I'm tone deaf and I don't know my tone, I want to sing as her. So what happens is, if I try to sing as her and go as high as I want to, then I'll start scratching my throat. You know, and that's the same thing with life. If you try to follow other people to fit in into how someone else's is, then you lose yourself in the midst of doing that. And it's something that you've been told over and over again, be yourself, be yourself. But maybe it should be changed to love yourself. Yeah. Because comparing yourself with another person, that is like insulting yourself. Yeah, this person is not God, so why should you compare yourself with the other person? Yeah, so love yourself. It's like buying for someone a shoe for 5,000 shillings, but you can't buy yourself the same shoe. You know, what is it that these other people have that you don't have, so that you can buy for them that shoe for 5K, but you can't buy yourself the same shoe? You know, yeah, it's also a matter of loving yourself and also identity. Know yourself, love yourself, and we are all different. That's why we have there's the arm, there's the leg, there's the eye. Even in the body of Christ, there are people who are, and we have even, if you look even in the church, there are people who are in media, there are people who are in dance, there are people who are in worship, there are people who are in pastoral, there are people who are in intercession. As in, we are different, but it's all about that difference. That's why we are told, unity is not uniformity. There are so many schools in Kenya, but we don't wear the same uniform. Yeah, why? But they are schools.
Mm.
Yeah, so unity is not uniformity. So you don't have to be uniform to be united. Yeah, so appreciate yourself, love yourself in the way that you're different, and let's use that difference to even make something beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that if you focus on why somebody else is so beautiful in many different ways, personality wise, physically, like they're pretty, if you focus on why somebody else is a beautiful person, you lose sight of why you're beautiful, because you start to send you start to set your standards to be that is beautiful, and you can't be that. Nobody else can be that. So you start to lose sight of why you're beautiful, because that has become beauty. And I think that also you have to work on seeing beauty in different ways. Look for the beauty in yourself and in others in many different ways. Yeah.
I think you guys have shared enough on that. Don't know if I need to add more. So our last response was someone saying that they feel empty when they don't have a girlfriend, and I guess we can broaden that to when they're not in a romantic relationship, and asking whether they are empty over the wrong thing. And I think I can go first on this one. I think our generation has put too much pressure on people to be in relationships even when they're not ready for it. Being ready, yes, of course, means that God has allowed, and He knows. He said, "Yeah, you're ready. This is the person." All that, but apart from that, again, there is so much we've gone through as individuals, and when it comes to relationships, a relationship is basically two people preparing to become one, yeah, and that means that the other person's problem becomes your problem, as well as the other person's um not good, every benefit in their life ideally becomes yours, and every struggle that they go through becomes yours. And what happens is there's this excitement we tend to have in our heads of, oh, relationship, that looks nice. I mean, I hear good things, I'll have this person at least every day. I'll wake up and there'll be someone to tell me I love you when I wake up and I go to sleep. But because of, let's put together all the things we've talked about so far, where there's someone who wakes up and they don't feel loved, so a relationship is not very likely to change that. There'll always be that little feeling inside them. There's someone who struggles with procrastination, and maybe for you, you're a person who is very punctual and timely and all that. There's one, who struggles with comparing themselves to others, and so maybe you're that someone, or maybe the other person is that someone, and so they'll always either be comparing your relationship or comparing themselves to someone else, and all of that, you know comes with that relationship. And so you'll find that you are just looking at it as a thing of, oh, let me try, let me have fun, and again, God has not spoken. And maybe most times deep down you'll know if this person, you're meant to be in a relationship with this person or not. You'll feel it in you, and still you choose to go against it. And what will tend to happen is that you come out worse than when you went in, and it's really not worth it. It's better to be patient. When God brings the right person, He will bring the right person, and He knows what you can and can't handle. And so, once you get into a relationship, He will bring you the kind of person that is the right person for you. Someone who you're ready to handle their flaws. You're ready to, um, be walk with them, because it's a journey and it's something of walking together. And part of what we should ask ourselves as Christians is, if I've struggled to commit to God, should I be trying to commit to a relationship? Because God comes first. And so, whatever commitment you have with God also reflects your commitment in that kind of relationship. So, there's a lot around it. Um, don't feel pressured by everyone around you to be in that kind of relationship. There is no rush, there is no hurry. Just take your time and let God speak to you. Yeah.
Um, okay, on the issue of relationship, I think it's more of situationship, where you you are doing that out of desperation, because if you feel empty because you don't have a girlfriend, or because you don't have a, or you're not dating or something. There are these memes where people post and there's someone with their, maybe there are people who are in a relationship, then this other person is hugging a tree or something, and it's funny, looks funny, but what you don't know, like what has been instilled in your mind by then, it's loneliness. Now if you're not in a relationship, you feel lonely. So I think it's also even that form of loving yourself. Yeah, because why, what is it? And this is where you need to ask yourself, what is this that I need in this relationship? What is this that I need in this girlfriend, so that I can stop feeling empty? Is it, what are you doing? Are you trying to explore anatomy? You know, what is it that you're trying to do? Or what is it that you want from this person? Okay, because at the end of the day, if that's what, if you're looking to explore anatomy, then you're falling into sin, you know, and you feel desperate. And because also you need to check yourself, because this shows that you don't have love for yourself, and also people don't love you, maybe from your family and everything. And you need to love yourself, and you need to switch, you need and focus on God. Because at the end of the day, if you look at scripture, God tells you how many times that He loves you. Yeah. And if you're not committed to God, as Pastor Jonah said, how are you going to be committed in a relationship? Yeah. So it's more of people trying to get into situationships because of pressure from their friends. Yeah, and because it looks cool, because that's what everyone is doing these days. If you look at the youth, that's what they are doing these days. So people choose to date and then head into marriage, do all sorts of things instead of courting, doing the right way. Yeah.
I don't have much to say on this topic because I do not have any experience in this topic. But what I'd say is that I only have like 2 points. But first of all, if you feel empty when you're not in a relationship, then I don't think you're ready to be in a relationship, because you can't. It's the same thing with what we're saying about friendships. You can't put your identity in somebody else and be completely vulnerable with somebody else when you feel this way about your relationship, because if it goes south, you're going to be a mess, you know. And that's what I'd say. I don't have much to say once again. But I think second of all, I agree with you, Brian, on what you said about the world putting so much pressure on you and the whole loneliness thing. Like, the world has made it seem like being single is the worst thing that could possibly happen. You know, your life is so sad because you don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. But in that situation, think of all the things you can do. You have time to work on yourself outside of a relationship, to find your identity outside of this other person. And like, something that always, like, I always think about is like, if you're 12, 13, 14, who's going to judge you because you don't have a significant no, like, do you seriously think that there are going to be people walking around like, look at that 12-year-old who doesn't have a boyfriend? no one is going to judge you. So you'd rather work on yourself at a young age, make sure you're fine. So that when you get to the age where dating actually makes sense, um, you're ready for it rather than going into random relationships with anyone and everyone you see, and then when it's time for you to actually look towards getting married, you already been hurt by so many people. And yeah, I mean that's my outlook. Like, if you're 12 or 13 or 10, nobody's judging you for not having a boyfriend. Seriously, no one is sitting around thinking about how you don't have a boyfriend. Focus on school, focus on your friendships, just relax. There's time for that. And yeah, that's my opinion, because I think it's even stretched towards making people who are really young feel like they need to be in a relationship. Because like, I have friends who are in relationships and I'm 14. So it's like, first of all, are you all gonna date for twice your age so that you can get married? Like, there's no rush. Like Jonathan said, there's no rush. Just relax. You know? Yeah.
I think that's what the devil wants you to know. And come to think of it, like if you look at it biblically, um, the what God wants is for you to court, then to head to marriage. Then that's why you start to calculate the cost of marriage, like waking up next to someone. You know how marriage people say it's not easy. Someone pressing the toothpaste at the middle, maybe you want it from the bottom and everything. I mean, it's stressful, yeah. But you need to calculate that cost to know what you really want. Yeah, instead of now you're having a relationship here and there, then from this person you go to another person, from this person you go to another person, and it doesn't fulfill you. And then at the end of the day, no matter how many relationships you'll be in, or no matter how many situationships you'll be in, you will still be empty. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's it for today. We'll be trying to do this as often as possible. So feel free to talk to any of us. Feel free to share anything you want to share with us. If you want to speak to us personally, if you want us to talk about it here, feel free. I hope you have a fantastic week this coming week, and may God bless you. And we look forward to seeing you again. We love you. Thank you.